let's go ahead in our portion. Let me be honest, we are almost done with the chapter NRI taxation. Actually, the main concept of NRI is very small, but we had to study capital gain, so we consumed 2 lectures for the capital gain part. We had to study residential status. If you observe carefully, we spent more than 1.5 hours only to study the residential status part. The main concept of NRI is actually very small, and if we want to go further, you just have to quickly tell me, just reply to my questions. Specific assessee, specific income. If the combo does not take place, then normal rates. If the combo does take place, then special or normal, whichever is beneficial, because it is optional. For the combo, we have 2 things: specific assessee, specific. We are done with both. Specific assessee, 3 conditions. First, easiest, smallest, human being, only individuals covered here. Second, citizen or PIO, any one of them, and we have studied the meanings of both. And third, and the most important, you have to be non-resident during the year, and we have studied entire residential status also. Second was the concept of specific income. 2 incomes arising from forex asset. So first of all, what is forex asset? Acquired in convertible foreign exchange by NRI. The following: shares of Indian company, any type of shares, but debenture deposit only if it is a public company. Then central government securities, and last, any other notified. From this, 2 types of incomes will arise. One, the recurring investment, the revenue income, which can be dividend, interest, etc. That is covered. And second, if you transfer any of these assets and you get long-term capital gains, then that is going to be covered. Any other income, I repeat, any other income, including short-term capital gain, because if special rate is prescribed only for long-term, that means even short-term will be taxable at normal rate. Only 2 incomes: investment income and LTCG. And finally, what are the special rates prescribed with respect to investment income? It is 20%, and with respect to long-term capital gains, it is 10%. Both are basic rates, so if applicable, surcharge should be added, and under all circumstances, HEC is going to be always applicable. At this stage, your ideally, your brain should tell you that, sir, okay, we have studied all the 3 things. Now let's go and solve the sums as to how to derive the tax liability as per NRI rates. But the truth is that we can actually not go to sums right now. Before we solve any sum on NRI, it is necessary that you learn the following restrictions. Only if you learn the following restrictions, you can solve the sums. Sir, what restrictions? If the rates which are given in chapter 12a, what is chapter 12a? NRI. Chapter 12 is special rates. Chapter 12a is the NRI. So, don't forget the range. This is which chapter of income tax? 12. Special rates of tax. We have not studied anything out of this except, of course, the capital gain part 111a, 112, 112a. Otherwise, the main chapter, special rates, we are going to study after NRI. And this chapter that we studied right now is not chapter 12. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what? Chapter 12a, which is from 115C to 115I. 115C to 115I. This is special rates chapter 12. We have right now studied chapter 12a. If the rates given in NRI, what are the 2 rates given in NRI? 12a. What are the 2 rates given in 12a? 20% and 10% for investment income and long-term capital gain respectively. If the rates given in NRI are opted, then there will be some restrictions on the assessee. So you cannot solve the sum unless you know the restrictions, because you will be solving the sum by calculating 2 tax liabilities. Please use your brain. Do you remember that their assessee has an option, normal or special, whichever is beneficial? So you will be calculating normal tax liability. You will be calculating special. Under the special regime of NRI, there are some restrictions. So when you solve that tax liability of special, please make sure that you incorporate these restrictions, then only you will get the right answer. So when will the restrictions apply? Only if the rates of NRI are Gadeda. You are giving us wrong information sakali early in the morning. Once you study NRI rates, you have to take those rates, no? This is a wrong word, no? NRI rates are compulsory, no? No. Are NRI rates optional? Yes. So if we opt, restriction will be applicable. If we don't opt, the restriction will not be applicable. Did you understand? So please understand the line. The restriction will be applicable only if NRI rates are opted. Correct? Correct, no? Okay. So listen, what I am going to do is, if you are in NRI rates, therefore there are going to be restrictions on you. With respect to the two incomes of this chapter, what are the two incomes? Investment income and LTCG. There will be some restrictions. We will learn the respective restrictions, means restrictions of investment income we will learn here, and restrictions of LTCG we will learn here. Under them respectively. When will the restrictions apply? Only if NRI rates are opted. Supposingly you go to normal rates. In case you, first of all, do you have the option of going to normal rates? That means if you go to normal rates, there will be no restriction in that case. Restriction applies only when NRI rates are opted. So if you go to normal, no restriction. So listen, we are going to total learn 4 boxes in our chart. This is investment income under NRI rates, investment income under normal rates, LTCG under NRI rates, and LTCG under normal rates. This is investment income with restriction, this is without restriction. Makes sense now? Under normal. And this is LTCG with restriction and LTCG without restriction. We will study the treatment of all the 4 issues, and only after studying this treatment you will be in a position that you can go and solve the sum. Your sum will require you to calculate 2 tax liabilities. Which 2? As per normal, as per NRI. Hello? As per normal, as per NRI. When you do as per normal, both incomes without restrictions. And when you do as per NRI, both incomes with restriction. Understood the 4 boxes that we are going to complete and conclude out here? What will be the restriction? Actually, those students who have studied new taxation regime will find it easy to understand what is happening here. That whenever we give you a concessional tax rate, we take away some benefits that you get. Something of that sort is going to happen. If I opt for NRI rates against my investment income, I will not get any deduction of expenses incurred for the purpose of earning income. No deduction of expenses. This is a restriction under which income? Investment income. That will cover dividend and interest both. You will need to maintain the patience to understand what I am explaining here. What do you mean by no deduction of expense? The NRI has invested in a forex asset. Let's say, for example, shares of an Indian company. So the investment income earned is dividend income. For investing in shares, you will need funds. If you are a complete bhuka nanga assessee, beggar assessee, bhikari assessee, you don't have funds. That means you will borrow funds for making the investment. Means understand what happened. I took a loan at 8% interest rate and invested in, shares or debentures or any of the forex asset where I am earning 10% return. That means, can I say on the face value income earned will be 10%? At the same time, there will be interest expense, and this interest expense has been incurred wholly and exclusively for the purpose of earning income. Interest expense has been incurred for the purpose of earning income. Tell me yes or no. You will not get that deduction. As per normal policies or normal principles of income tax, any expense incurred for the purpose of earning income is allowed as a deduction. You always pay tax on your net income. Indirect taxes like GST are incurred on your gross income. Directly on sales, we apply GST. But income tax has a clear principle. Income tax will always apply on net income. You don't pay tax on your sales, no, in income tax. You pay tax on sales minus expenses, no. You pay tax on net profit, no. That's a basic rule in income tax. But do you want special rate? You want special rate? Then in that case, you will not get any deduction of expense. Your gross income will be chargeable to tax. Gross income. No deduction of expenses against your investment income. Make sense? Understood what is happening? So listen, actually I am going to complete this first. Then I am going to tell you what will happen in normal rate. Then only I will come to LTCG. I am not discussing LTCG right now. But I wish to give a clarificatory point here. This restriction cannot apply here. What we have written, no deduction of expense, we have written only under investment income anyways. I have not written only under LTCG, but you need to understand also that it cannot apply. Because if we write no deduction of expense under LTCG, that means we are being so foolish. No deduction of expense, that means you will not give deduction of cost of acquisition. If you write this line over here, that is what will be the meaning of that line. Which means that your selling price will become capital gains. We cannot be so stupid. So will we get deduction of expense under capital gains? Transfer expense like brokerage, etc.? Yes, we will. Will we get deduction of cost of acquisition under capital gain? Yes, of course we will. Capital gain is the gain on the asset. We will not be paying tax on the gross sale consideration. We will be paying tax on our capital gain. So just conclude for me, please. The restriction of no deduction of expense is applicable under only which income? Investment. Because the good news is that there are two more restrictions here. Totally there are three restrictions. B and C are same. This B is same as this B. This C is same as this C. Only the A over here is different. So the second and the third restriction will be very comfortably and peacefully over. Okay. Next restriction. We'll complete investment income first. I just wanted to make you understand that the deduction of expenses which is not available, that restriction is available or applicable to which income? Investment income, LTCG, none of them, both of them. If you opt for normal rates, that restriction is not applicable to both of them. Then answer will be none of them. But if you apply for or opt for NRI rates, then the restriction will apply to investment income only, not applicable to LTCG. Understood?
Yes.
No basic exemption limit. Whenever you pay income tax, do you get basic exemption limit? Yes, you do. Hello? The restriction of no deduction of expense is applicable only under investment income. It is not applicable under LTCG, but the other two restrictions are same. So no basic exemption limit. So under normal circumstances, in income tax, do you get basic exemption limit?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Dividend income first 2,50,000 will not be taxable. But you want special rate, then special rate will come with a problem that you will not get any basic exemption limit. So let us understand that supposingly NRI has got investment income of 10 lakh rupees. So if he goes for normal rates, he will have first 250 no tax. He'll get basic exemption limit, no, under normal circumstances. If it is senior citizen, then what will be the basic exemption?
Senior citizen 3 lakhs.
Popat. Good morning. Assessee is and thus always 2,50,000. Always 2,50,000. Correct? But under NRI, the entire 10 lakh will get taxed at a flat rate of 20%. So of course, the people with low income category, no, for them NRI rates are disadvantageous. But supposingly the income is in crores of rupees, assessees who are falling in 30% bracket or something like that, then NRI rates will be beneficial because you have flat 20%. over there. So you will not be getting any basic exemption, and same restriction is applicable for LTCG also. We can write it right now only, but we will wait for first investment income to get over. And the third restriction, you will not be getting any chapter 6A deduction. Supposingly I am NRI and I have 1 lakh rupees dividend income and I have invested that in PPF or life insurance premium. So normally such expenses we get ATC deduction. But if you are opting for NRI rates against these incomes, you will not be getting your ATC deduction. No deduction of chapter 6A. Array, ladies and gentlemen, you know we have made one separate page of special notes, and in that page the last thing that we wrote was this only. Whenever an income is taxable at special rate, you don't have to write, I am just reminding you. This is the last thing we wrote. Whenever an income is taxable at special rate, what have we written? No chapter 6A. Just tell me one thing. This is normal rate or special rate? Or not this actually. This part is normal rate or special rate? And so is this. So of course under both no chapter 6A, because whenever you are in special rate, there will not be any chapter 6A deduction. So any NRI who is opting for the NRI rates against investment income, you will not get three things. What are the three things that you will not get? No expense deduction, no basic exemption, no chapter 6A. Let's repeat. No deduction of expense, no basic exemption, no chapter 6A. But do you have the option of, by the way, when you solve the sum as per NRI rates, then you have to take care of these things. So when you are given expense, don't give deduction. Don't give basic exemption, directly apply 20%. Don't give chapter 6A deduction. You will have to be careful about all that. Are you following? But do I have the option of going to normal rates? In that case, first question, will I get deduction of expense? Yes, because that is the difference. So here I will be paying tax on my net income. Second, will I get basic exemption limit in my normal rates? Normal rates start only with basic exemption. Yes. What will be the basic exemption? 250. And in case of senior citizen, 250 only. Remember, it is non-resident. And third, simple question. Are these normal rates or special rates? And if it is normal rates, then chapter 6A also allowed. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, when you solve the sum as per normal provisions, then you get deduction of expense, you get basic exemption, you get chapter 6A. But when you solve the sum as per NRI rates, you don't get any one of them. You will not get all the three. That is, no deduction of expense, no basic exemption, no chapter 6A. Are you followed? Chalo. Now let's go to the LTCG part. Again, with restriction, without restriction. That is special rate, normal rate. Let's do that one by one. At least with respect to the first point we had discussion. No? So answer this question. Against LTCG, first of all, will we write that point, no deduction of expense? Should we write that point? No. Because we will get deduction of expense. We will get transfer expense reduction. We will get cost of acquisition deduction. This restriction cannot apply here. It is stupid to write this. And if we write this here, that means we will end up taxing the sale consideration, which is stupidity at its peak. So we will not be writing that, of course. But then LTCG has got its own customized, personalized restriction. B and C are same, I already told you. Can you guess the personalized, customized point A specially crafted for LTCG? Take a guess, you will be right. You will not be getting the benefit of indexation. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the main purpose of doing the capital gain part before NRI. Before we started NRI, you did not know anything about NRI except only one thing, that if we are in NRI rates, we will not be getting the benefit of indexation. The benefit of indexation will not be available in NRI rates. In the 7 points of no indexation, if you remember that list, if you don't remember, you can check your notebook. Bonds and debentures, slump, sale, depreciable assets. One of those 7 points, have we written NRI taxation. That is this point, no indexation. And of course, do you have the brain to understand that this point cannot apply here because these are revenue incomes? The first point is customized. For investment income, no deduction of expense. And for LTCG, no indexation. Mitro, for investment income, no deduction of expense. And for LTCG, no indexation. The first point is customized to each one of them. And as I told you already, the points B and C are same. So what is the second restriction against LTCG? Same as investment income. No basic exemption. So whatever is your LTCG will be directly taxable at a flat rate of 10%. Here it is 10%. You will not get any basic exemption. And third, simple question. Is this a normal rate or special rate?
Special.
And the moment you tax it at a special rate, then
Chapter 6 is
no chapter 6A deduction. The moment special rate applies, no chapter 6A deduction. Correct? Now we'll go to the last point or the last box in our chart. Again, we will have to write 3 points. For LTCG without restriction, this time we will go in reverse order. We'll do point C first, then B, then A. And everybody has to participate because without participation, no, this will go above your head. You will see stars in broad daylight. So please focus. I am talking about point number C. If we opt for NRI rates, then what is the status of chapter 6A? If we opt for NRI rates, then chapter 6A? Not allowed because they are special rates. But if we opt for normal rates, then chapter 6A deduction popped. Listen to one line. See, concept is something. Generally, concepts in taxation are something. If a person talks for 2 hours also, that person may not be able to convince you about the logic. And sometimes one line is also enough. It depends on the talent from person to person. One line is enough. So listen to the line that I am speaking now. Listen to this line. For long-term capital gains, the normal rate of tax is also a special rate. Under normal provisions also it is taxable at a special rate. If stock market, now listen, Sudarshan and everyone else, when I say if stock market, what do I mean? If the shares are equity shares or units of equity or in mutual fund or units of business trust, only those 3, that also only if STT is paid. For units on sale and for shares on or after 1/10/2004 on sales as well as purchases, then only with in a very restricted manner we go in 112A. Otherwise all other capital gains, if long term, will go in 112. But the truth is, whether stock market or non-stock market, whether 112 or 112A, even the normal rate is a special rate. You agree with this line? And once any income is taxable at special rate, what conclusion you draw with respect to chapter 6A? Not available. So that means, can I say chapter 6A not available against LTCG in NRI as well as normal? Very good. So first question you went wrong. Let's see. Second, answer what I am asking. Under NRI, do we get basic exemption?
no.
Under NRI rates, do we get basic exemption? No, we have clearly written here, no basic exemption. But once we go to normal, then basic exemption.
On the exhausted basic exemption.
Popert. Now sing with me. To people 3 incomes, to people 3 incomes, to people 3 incomes. Why did we sing that song? Define those 2 people for me. Define.
Resident, individual and resident.
Say it again, say it again, say it again, say it again.
Resident, individual and resident.
That means you have only answered why you were wrong. Who is the assessee here? And that benefit of unexhausted basic exemption is available only to residents under normal provision, only 2 people, and that also only against 3 incomes, 111A, 112, 112A. 2 people, 3 income, 2 people, 3 income. This was not a joke. It is very unfortunate. Sometimes I feel very upset about this, that sometimes when we have to convince about a particular point, we teachers have to act like complete jokers. In real life, we are not jokers, we are qualified professionals. The point is that to deal with students, you have to make things simple. You have to make fun. It's a complicated law. If I don't behave like this, if I behave in a very, very rigid and professional manner, then it will become like any of those seminars conducted by ICAI, when neither the listener nor the speaker, none of them are interested. They are only doing it to put it on the resume. The listener for the CPE hours and the speaker for time. And most speakers are, let me not comment about them. Better not to comment about them. We have to act like complete jokers. So the thing that I did was not for joke. 2 people, 3 income, 2 people, 3 income, 2 people, 3 income. That means the benefit of unexhausted basic exemption limit is available only to, and thus no basic exemption limit to NRI. Don't forget the SSC is NRI. So I think both cases you went wrong. Huh? For chapter 6 and basic exemption, both you went wrong. Chalo, theek hai. We have one last thing. Please focus. If I opt for NRI rates, then what is the rule as far as indexation is concerned? At least NRI to clearly we have written and concluded it now. No indexation. Under NRI, definitely pakka no indexation. But if we opt for normal rates, some are like, now I don't want to answer only. Observe carefully the forex asset definition. Shares, debentures, deposit can never result in capital gain. That's a loan, so it cannot result. And the third asset is central government securities. Fifth is also any other notified. There are 3 assets which will result in capital gains: shares, debentures, and central government securities. Observe the definition. Shares, debentures, central government securities. They are all securities. And what if I tell you this one line, that a non-resident never gets indexation on securities? Now I'll do one thing. We have 7 cases of no indexation. Bonds and debentures, slump sale, depreciable assets. If you don't remember the list, then you can open the list and verify what I am saying. Have we written a point called NRI taxation in that list? We have. Apart from that, one more point have we written, that non-resident holding securities in India. Have we written one more point over there?
Yes.
We have written 2 points. Nobody asked me that, sir, why you have written non-resident twice? You have written NRI also, you have written non-resident holding security. Even if you would have asked, I would have told you wait for NRI chapter to get over. Because one of those 2 points, the point which is NRI taxation, is when I opt for special rate. And the other point, non-resident holding securities in India, is when I opt for, don't forget, for long-term capital gain on securities, we give them 10% flat rate under normal provisions also. No? Tell me one thing. What is the tax rate of LTCG under NRI rates? Tax rate 10%. And under normal also it is 10 only, no? On securities. Listed securities 10% without indexation. And unlisted securities also 10% without indexation.
Yes.
And the fact that we are giving you this 10% rate is a hint in itself. 10% rate of income tax on LTCG means immediate conclusion. Assessee will be ineligible for the benefit of indexation. You cannot take a concessional rate of tax and still avail indexation benefit. 10% is a very, very low, ridiculously low rate of tax, and consequently you will be ineligible for the benefit of indexation even under normal. So one of the points in the 7 was for special and other point was for normal, and that is why we have written 2 points in the list of no indexation. One for special, one for normal. One for special, one for normal. And thus some of my Guju friends conclude here. You know, etle. Non-resident in India indexation kyare na male. Rubbish. If the non-resident is selling house land, gold, jewelry, indexation. Yes, 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 yes. Which is that only asset on which they will not get indexation? Securities, under normal also, under special also, under normal also, under special also. Securities के ऊपर they will not be getting the benefit of indexation. Understood? In conclusion, we can actually say that LTCG is actually the entire same treatment. And the rate of tax is also same. We discussed that also. Normal and special, both places rate of tax is 10 only. But of course, you do entire normal or entire special. This cannot be income by income. If you go into normal, do everything as per normal. And you go into chapter 12, then everything as per chapter 12. That goes without saying. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the aspect about restrictions applicable for any assessee who opts for NRI rates. Mind you, they are optional. So if you opt, this portion will apply. And if you go in normal, this portion will apply. And now do you realize that without doing this, it was never going to be possible to solve any sum of this chapter in any case? Without this knowledge, it is impossible to solve any sum here. Do you agree with that? Okay. What have we studied till now in the chapter thus? Specific assessee is over, specific income over, special rate over, and if special rate is opted, then what are the restrictions? That part is also over. No problem. Just to give you a sequence of section numbers, section 115C has given all the definitions. What is chapter 12A? 115C to 115I, correct? C2I, C2I, C2I. C has given us definitions. Definition of forex asset, definition of NRI, definition of investment income. Everything is given in 115C. Section 115D has given us the restrictions that we have studied. Just now we have studied the restriction. No deduction of expense, no basic exemption, no chapter 6A, no indexation against LTCG. Where are the restrictions given? 115D. And section 115E has given us the two special rates. What are the two special rates? 20 and 10 respectively for investment income and LTCG. That is given in 115E. Having said that, in this chapter NRI, chapter 12, if you don't learn section numbers, it's okay. I give you permission to do that. You have my permission. But with a catch and a condition that the chapter which is immediately after this, that is the chapter called special rates of tax. The chapter which is immediately after this, that is a chapter called special rates of tax. Lot of sections over there. 115A to 115BBG we will be learning there. Every section you have to learn the number. As and when we proceed further in our portion, I will be continuously doing this bifurcation for you. Important section, not important section. I will be continuously doing it. Which chapter you have to learn, which chapter you can leave. I will be putting a filter. You have to comply with the filter. Supposingly, I put a filter. I say these chapters you learn, these chapters you don't learn. So this though you will definitely not learn. And there are some students who put a further filter. Well, in this also I will delete something. You don't have that discretion. So where I am saying you can leave, you can leave. Where I am saying you have to learn, you have to learn. So in NRI you can leave if you want. But with a condition that in special rates you will be learning the section numbers with full sincerity. Are we clear? Chalo. So three sections that we have studied till now. Definitions, we have studied about restrictions, and we have studied about rates. Very few sections left, as I told you that the chapter is almost over. So quickly we will complete the chapter and then we'll move on to the questions. Section 115F. Exemption against LTCG. Is your long-term capital gain taxable in NRI taxation? First question. Is LTCG taxable here?
Yes.
What is the rate?
10%.
10% without indexation. Already a very low, a ridiculously low rate of tax. That also you don't want to pay. I am asking you. You want to save that also. I am asking you. If you want to save, yes, then I am doing the section. If you say, no, sir, 10% is very less, I will pay it, no problem. Then you pay it, then I'll go to the next section. You are an assessee, huh? If you are an assessee and you have the option of saving, will you do it? We have a mechanism to save that 10% also. How? You will have to invest in another forex asset within 6 months. Invest in what? Another forex asset within a period of 6 months. Then your LTCG will be exempt. Calculation I will teach you. Quantum of exemption, I will give you the exact calculation in words, numbers, examples, everything. But understand how to avail it first. Understand the eligibility criteria. You have transferred a forex asset. Will that result in capital gain? If it is short term, then NRI rates are not applicable, only normal provisions will apply. NRI rates are applicable only when it is long term. Do you want to save tax of 10% on that long term gain? Invest in another asset. This concept is exactly same as your section 54 series of capital gains. It's a series. It's not just one section. It's 54B, D, EC, F, G, GA. Lot of sections over there. Long series of sections. Which most of you all did not study only because on the assumption that you cleared intermediate with the support of GST. First thing. Secondly, even if you have studied, it's been a while, you don't remember anything. By the time a student comes from inter to final, most things are already forgotten. But probably one thing people, that also not maybe exact but rough calculation, people remember that when we transfer our residential house and we have capital gain, with that money if we buy another residential house, sell a house, buy a house, sell a house, buy a house, sell a house, buy. And the amount invested in the new house can be subtracted from the capital gain of the old house. And subject to all the other rules and regulations given over there, that the exemption is only for individual HUF, only if it is long-term capital gain. New house, there is a time limit to acquire. Purchase 1 year before, 2 years after, construct within 3 years after. Lot of rules and regulations are given. We have a dedicated chapter capital gain for that. And major part of capital gain we have already completed. Huge portion. But we will still be having at least 2.5 lectures for capital gain where we will be learning these exemptions. Here the issue is about the concept. You have transferred one asset, a forex asset. You will get money. The objective of that money or that sale was not that, wow, I will get money. I will shower that money on myself. Paisa, 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 paisa. Objective was not paisa, 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 paisa. The objective was, I want another asset. A bigger asset, better asset. Think about it from a house point of view. You have transferred a house. Not that you want money and you are relaxing on a footpath. Don't forget, you are in Mumbai and we have Salman Khan also. The objective is that I want to buy a bigger house. But in a city like Mumbai, you cannot buy a house. For buying a house, you have to sell your old house. That is also generally not enough. My only dream in life, the only thing that I have to achieve is to buy a house of my own in Mumbai. My long-term objective in life is to retire at an early age and do social service. Do something for the community. I am already at this young age, trustees in trust, and I started at the age of 17, I started working in charitable trusts. But unfortunately, currently I have family commitments. I have a family to take care of. I have a wife, I have a son, and I am the elder child of the family. And you know how younger children in Indian households are. You know how useless they are. And it's common across households. And these responsibilities don't allow me. But one day I want to retire and do social. For that I have to secure, I have to at least buy a house. Sometimes I feel in Mumbai, if I have to buy my house, I will have to sell myself first. Twice. in one sale, I may not be able to generate those funds. Twice. Okay. So of course, selling see, we have an existing house. If we sell that, then I can buy today also. Let me be honest. I have the difference managed. I've been working since 11 years. I have the difference ready with me. If I have to sell, but I always feel that that house was purchased by my father and I don't want to sell that. So getting a full new house with your own funds. There are people who spend their entire life. When they are near retirement, that is the age when they manage, and in fact they were earning in better economies, not the present day scenario. And in CA coaching, so we know the current environment is such that one day there will be someone who will say, learn from me, I will pay you. So they were in better position at that time. Still they could manage a house only near their retirement age. Okay. So one principle of life is that whenever you want to have a bigger or a better asset, you will have to mandatorily transfer your old asset. Without that, you will not get funds to invest. Which is why you transferred your existing. That logic applies for the house wala section also. Currently we are talking about the forex asset. So you transfer your old asset, you get funds so that you can invest in another asset. The transfer will attract capital gains for you. So we will save you if within 6 months you invest. So for the house, the time limit and the calculation, everything is different. We will talk about it in capital gains chapter. Here we will focus on what will happen if it is transfer of forex asset by NRI. Invest in another forex asset within 6 months. Now listen. In theory, if you go and read the section, if you go and read the textbook that I have given you, it is stated that invest in, there are two options. Invest in another forex asset, which I have also written here. There's one more option. Invest in national saving certificate issued before 2002. Kya? Issued before? Before 2002. How will I invest today? Before 2002, you were not there also. Do you know that? How will you invest in that today? Sasta wala nasha. And what stuff they have had. This provision should have been deleted long ago, but it is not deleted from the act. No, so I am not removed from the textbook. I have already discussed. Practically, it is irrelevant. Today's practical environment, to get the exemption stipulated here, the only investment possible is another forex asset within a period of 6 months, and that will make you eligible. Once you are eligible, can we go and learn the calculation of exemption? If your entire net sale consideration is invested, what is invested? Entire net sale consideration, then your entire capital gain will be exempt. If entire net sale consideration is invested, entire capital gain will be exempt. Otherwise, proportionate exemption will be available. This is the quantum. If entire net sale consideration is invested, entire capital gain will be exempt. Otherwise, it will be proportionate. Let us understand with the help of example, then only. And this numerical example will conclude. Eligibility criteria is what? Invest within 6 months. That is easy. Calculation part I am explaining with numbers. Supposingly, I have transferred my asset for a gross sale consideration of 50,50,000. The full value of consideration also you can call as per capital gain principles. Gross sale consideration 50,50,000. Of course, against this we will be having some brokerage or transfer expenses. But in the chapter NRI, deduction of expense,
Is allowed.
NRI.
Yes. Allowed. Yes. Capital. Investment income pay not allowed. LTCG allowed.
Not allowed on investment income. Allowed against LTCG. Correct? So let's take it as 50,000. We get net sale consideration of 50 lakh rupees. No problem. One thing you definitely know in this chapter, there will never be any indexation. So it is always going to be cost of acquisition. Again, an example, 15 lakh rupees. And thus, what is your long-term capital gains? Assuming the asset was long-term. Because anyways, against short-term NRI rates does not apply only. What is your LTCG? See, you have to talk to me. Let a live class be like a live class. And let there be a difference between a live class and a recorded class. There is always a difference. So talk to me, participate with me. And even if I ask you the same question by changing the words again and again, you still participate in your own interest. What is the capital gain? 35 lakh. So how much is the gain? 35. Applying the formula of sale minus cost of capital gain, what is the taxable income under the head capital gain of the assessee? 35 lakh. How much money does the assessee have?
35 lakhs.
Popat!
50 lakhs.
How much money does the assessee have?
50 lakhs.
50 lakh. 50 lakh. See, 50,000 went away, no? Today we got this, but we incurred this. Today's pocket position of cash, 50 lakh 50 we got, but immediately we spent 50. The net cash in your pocket, check your pocket. Put your hand in your pocket and check it. The net cash position in your pocket is 50 lakh rupees. Gain is 35, but the cash is. And if you understood this, now you will understand. You want to make 35 zero? You will have to buy a new asset of 50. If you invest 50, then 35 will become zero. If you invest the net sale consideration. This is the difference between that section 54 and this chapter. Listen, what is the rule given in 54? If you want to make this zero, invest this only. There you have to invest the gain amount. It is capital gain or investment, whichever is lower. There you have to invest 35 and it will become zero. But here, investing 35 is not enough. If you want to make 35 zero, investment has to be done for 50 lakh rupees. Are you understood? So what do you have to invest to make your gain zero? So let's understand. Situation 1. I have invested 50 lakh rupees. Answer what I am asking. Is entire net sale consideration invested? Yes. Then how much will be exempt? Will entire capital gain be exempt? Then how much will be taxable? Some are such gadedas of the highest level, they do this. I would be very much interested in knowing what did you consume last night. So please focus. You are subtracting this 35 exemption from which income? And how much is that capital gain? You don't get exemption from your investment. You are getting exemption from your income. So never do like an idiot. Never do this minus this. And don't mind what I am saying, because this has not happened for the first time. In 11 years, almost every batch this has happened. Okay. So you don't need to bother yourself. You all understood what mistake you made? Invest your sale amount, but exemption will be from your gain amount. Let me see if you have really understood. Answer what I am asking. Investment in new forex asset 25 lakh. Is entire net sale consideration invested? No. Will entire LTCG be exempt? Proportionate. Now, this you can do in multiple ways. One, some people say, sir, cross multiply. Some people say, sir, if this is half, then this will also be half. That's the best way of doing it, by the way. And of course, some people, if 50 lakh is invested, then 35 is exempt. If 25 is invested, then exemption is how much? You've done that? People spend their entire FR costing. I am not asking for the amount. You understood how to do it. Some people spend their entire life singing this song. So whether you call it cross multiplication, unitary method, proportionate, whatever you call it, do you understand? If 50 is invested, then full exempt. And if not, then proportionate. Have you understood the line that I have written here? The calculation of exemption. Entire NSC, entire gain. Otherwise, proportionate. 1 second. Now can I say taxable equal to 7.5? 7.5, no? 25 minus 17.5. No? No? 35 minus 17.5. Followed? I think you've understood. Entire NSC, entire gain, otherwise proportionate. One last example, we will conclude this. New asset of 40 lakhs. Answer what I am asking. Is entire NSC invested? Will entire capital gain be exempt? Then how much will be exempt? Proportionate. This is 80%. And if you are not good in maths, you can do it this way. 40 into 35 divide by 50. If entire net sale consideration is invested, entire capital gain will be exempt, otherwise proportionate. So proportionate mein can I say you can do cross multiplication, you can do whatever you want, whatever you are comfortable with. Kindly calculate and tell me what is going to be your exemption. 28. Last time of not going wrong, can I say exemption is 28, that means taxable is 12 lakhs? No, then tell me what is taxable, because this 28 exemption is getting subtracted from 35. I think we have all understood the calculation of exemption. Condition is invest within 6 months, and calculation part is also understood. See, if you agree with this one line, I will go ahead. Thus, optimum investment amount to get maximum tax benefit is your gain amount, nahi, is your sale amount. In this chapter, you have to invest your sale amount, and in capital gains chapter, you have to invest your gain amount. Understood? Very good. Which one? Optimum investment amount is your sale amount in this chapter. See, 50 you have to invest. If you invest less than 50, then you don't get full exemption. And if you invest more than 50, you are making unnecessary investment.
Yes.
So optimum investment amount is the sale amount, 50 lakhs. But in capital gains chapter, the actual investment amount required is the gain amount. If you invest 35 also, it becomes. Hey, काम करो. Let's do one thing. Let's not bring into discussion that capital gain ka chapter right now for unnecessary confusion. Here you focus. You agree that the optimum investment amount, the best amount to invest for maximum tax benefit will be your sale amount, the net sale consideration amount. That's the best amount to invest. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Everybody done with 115F? Fantastic. Next section. Section 115G. Small theory section, but has been asked at least 4 or 5 times in CA final exams. Small section, 4 or 5 times they have asked. Today, let me be honest, the wicket is so down. Had it not been a day where I had to complete your ongoing chapter before going on a break, then I would have 100% cancelled today's class. But fair enough. You all are still understanding what is happening. No? Some are like, बीमार है तो भी ऐसा है क्या? It is like that only. Once I start talking about tax, then nothing can stop me. So focus. 115G has been asked in exam at least 4 or 5 times. What is happening? First, pay attention. If means, can I say condition? If the NRI does not have any other taxable income in India. If the NRI does not have any other taxable income in India. No other income. He has got only the 2 incomes of this chapter. By the way, which are the only 2 incomes of this chapter? Investment income and LTCG. Other than this, he does not have any other. Of course, there will be some NRIs who will be having other income. But this section is applicable only to which assessees who don't have other income, who have only 2 incomes. NRI, only 2 incomes, investment income and LTCG. And means cumulative. TDS has been fully deducted. TDS has been fully deducted. Today I am telling you one line. This is chapter number 4. TDS is chapter number 27. From chapter 4 to chapter 27. Again and again. Multiple occasions I will be saying this. By the time we reach the chapter TDS, you will be having perfect knowledge about this. Sorry. Whenever you are making payment of any income to non-resident, which is the case in this chapter, it is the responsibility of the payer to deduct the full tax liability, all inclusive, surcharge, HEC, whatever is applicable. Whether as per income tax, as per DTAA, whatever is applicable, you have to deduct the full tax liability. See, payee means assessee is a non-resident. He has come here for a temporary period. He will earn income, take income and go away. If he goes away, we cannot run behind him for recovery of taxes. We have got control only over people who are physically present in India. Once you leave the country, recovery becomes very difficult. And thus, whatever is the tax liability, it will be the duty of the person who is paying the income to deduct that in the form of TDS and exact to the extent of tax liability. In case of a non-resident, listen to this line that I am saying. Tax liability equal to TDS. Liability equal to TDS to the final rupee, including surcharge and cess. Not a rupee more, not a rupee less. The TDS of a non-resident cannot be a single rupee more than his liability, cannot be less than his liability, single rupee. You know why? Supposingly we deduct more TDS. So that poor guy cannot stay back here for waiting for his refund. He has to leave, no? The portal is only not working, what he will get his refund? And supposingly we get less TDS, then again we cannot run behind him for recovery. In case of a resident, we deduct at random rates. Some section there is 10%, 5%, 1%, 2%. Multiple rates of TDS are prescribed for different types of payment. You all know only your boss ka TDS 10%. Professional fees. We'll talk lot about TDS. It's one of the biggest chapters of your portion in terms of size. There are 2-3 very big chapters: assessment procedure, TDS, charitable trust, business profession. These are chapters which will consume, at least 3-4 lectures. NRI is not that big. NRI became big because of capital gains. In itself, NRI is not big. Okay. So we will be consuming at least minimum 4 lectures for TDS. Minimum, upper side it can go to 5 also. We'll be discussing everything. Resident, if we deduct more tax, he is here only, he can get his refund. If we deduct less tax, we can send him a notice for recovery of tax. But in non-resident, we cannot do that, and thus that sentence, just this sentence, TDS equal to tax, tax liability equal to TDS, exact final rupee. And that will apply for all types of payments to non-resident, not just these two incomes. Anything a non-resident earns in India, the TDS provision is going to be this only, liability equal to TDS. That means, can I say under normal circumstances, the payer will make sure that he complies with this duty, he deducts proper TDS, and the non-resident does not have any other income. 2 cumulative conditions we have written. If both these conditions are complied, see what is happening. Has the government received the full tax liability of the assessee by way of TDS? And there is no scope of receiving any more tax liability from this assessee. You agree with this also? Why do I say this? Why do I say there is no scope of receiving any more tax? No other income. So government has received full tax and is not going to receive anything more. You agree with both statements that I made? Then think about it as an assessing officer. Think about it as an assessing officer. What are you interested in? Listen, you won't get a professor like this. Huh? I am making you an assessing officer without giving UPSC exams. I am asking you to imagine yourself as an assessing officer, as an officer of the income tax department. Imagine. What are you interested in? The name, gender, address, date of birth of the assessee, or the tax liability for the department? Shivam is thinking, sir, if the assessee is of the opposite gender and almost my age, then I will purposely send her notices, summons, please be present in my office. See, Shivam, I am talking about normal assessing officers who take their duty seriously. Okay, I am not talking about you. Correct, Shivam? Normal assessing officers who take their duty seriously will focus on recovery of tax liability. They are not interested in the name, gender, address or date of birth of the assessee. Make sense to you? So tell me one thing. The tax liability, is it recovered?
Yes.
And there is no scope of any further tax liability. You agree with this?
Yes.
Then when Bauji told Simran, you know Bauji and Simran? Ja Simran, ja जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. Go enjoy your life. No need to file your return of income. Normally, filing of ROI is compulsory for people having income exceeding basic exemption limit. We'll learn about all this in assessment procedure. Every company, every firm, every assessee who has income exceeding basic exemption limit, ROR having asset outside India, some more cases, people who have electricity bill exceeding 1 lakh, foreign travel expense exceeding 2 lakh, current account deposit. There are a lot of people who are compulsorily required to file ROI. That's a long list. But if I fulfill these two conditions, no other income and TDS has been fully deducted, then I get immunity from the requirement of filing ROI. And you all have by now understood the logic also. Why is ROI required? Has the government received the tax liability
Yes.
and is not going to receive also anything more?
Yes.
Then why is ROI required? No need to file ROI. You can relax. This facility in income tax is totally given to 4 people. How many people have this facility totally? 4. One is this guy, the NRI. There are 3 more in the immediately following chapter, that is special rates of tax. Total 4. 1 NRI, 3 special rates. How many people have this facility? Total 4. See, of course, today you have studied the person in NRI chapter. When we do special rates, I will be teaching you one by one those 3 cases. So by the end of our syllabus, you will be aware of all 4. By the time we complete our portion, you will be aware of all 4. Today you know only 1. Of course, when it comes in exam, you have to write about all 4. NRI and 3 in special rates. 4 people who have this facility in income tax. What facility? Don't file your ROI. Coincidentally, the conditions are same in all the 4 sections. The remaining 3 I will teach you in the next chapter. At least the conditions I have taught you here itself. What are the 2 conditions to get immunity from filing of ROI? No other taxable income and TDS has been fully deducted. If these 2 conditions are complied, no need to file ROI for 1 person in NRI and 3 people in special rates. Of course, in exam we will write about all 4. The remaining 3 I will teach you in the next chapter. At least 4 or 5 times this question has been asked in exam. Yes, please.
So how would one verify this? Is there any declaration or something?
You have to take it in writing from the NRI that I do not have any other income, and sometimes the person who is paying, that person will also take the declaration from the NRI. Then supposingly I am making payment to the non-resident. So I will go and ask my AO, sir, he has given me such a declaration. My AO will also grant me permission. But here you are not understanding the aspect that the responsibility of the payer is only this much, whether any declaration or no declaration. And this has to be done under all circumstances. Filing of ROI is not the responsibility of the payer. Filing of ROI is the responsibility of the payee non-resident. So I have given payment by deducting TDS. I have done my duty. My AO cannot do anything to me. And as far as the non-resident is concerned, once he goes away, then nothing can be done. And that is the reason why we are very rigid that at least TDS has to be deducted. So supposingly we don't get the information, the ROI, at least we get the tax liability in the form of recovery from the payer. We are happy with that much also. We are granting them immunity to provide a conducive environment for investment in our country. Followed? So that was your section 115G. 2 conditions. Conditions are important and they are cumulative. No other income and TDS fully deducted. No need to file ROI. Are we clear? And then we have section 115H, section 115I. First, let me talk about section 115I. The rates given in NRI, that is chapter 12, 20% and 10%. They are optional. That means assessee has the permission, the facility to opt for normal rates. Some are like, sir, we already know this. Do you already know this? That NRI rates are optional? Who told you? Who told you that NRI rates are optional? Who told you NRI rates are optional? I said it. Who am I? Who am I to tell you this? Or who am I to decide this? That NRI. See, I am going to become the finance minister of the country very soon. It is a matter of time. Talks are going on. And after that, whatever I say is the law. Imagine if I am the finance minister of the country and I am still teaching CA final direct tax. Imagine everybody has to study from me only because what I speak is the law. And sir, confusion is whether we should take this opinion or this opinion about this particular section. I am saying take this opinion because what I decide is final. I might probably not leave teaching no matter what I do. Because wherever I am and whatever I am, it is because of this. And people know me because of this. I earn because of this. I may not leave this after becoming the finance minister also, maybe, probably. Okay. But today I am not the finance minister. But today me saying that NRI rates are optional cannot work. There has to be some provision, some section which says that you can go to normal. Which is that section which says that you can go to normal? It is this section. Something that we have been doing all throughout the chapter. Optional, 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 optional. Which section says so? 115 I says. Followed? No? Followed? Very good. And of course, let's talk about then 115H also. Before I ask or teach you 115H, I wish to know from you. For this chapter, SSC has to be non-resident, something that we have been learning from the beginning of the chapter. Very good. In course of learning that, have we also studied residential status?
Yes.
So then can you answer this question that can residential status of an SSC change year by year?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Is it possible that residential status has changed
We have to change it.
every year? Because it depends on number of days you spend. It is possible that 1 year you were in India for 365 days. 1 year you were not even there for 3 days. Financial year basis. So what will happen after becoming resident? No, you don't answer the question. Let me fine tune my question first. Let me answer my question in proper words. Because I expect you to give me the correct answer. Or maybe wrong answer also, but I expect you to give an answer provided I explain my question properly. Let me explain the question. I am NRI, I come to India. I am specific assessee. I make investment in forex asset. So there is specific income. Combo has taken place. Do I have the option, normal or special, whichever is beneficial?
Yes.
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 Next year also, I am non-resident. And again, I am getting the same income. See, once I invest in those shares or debentures, they are going to be recurring incomes. So next year also, I come for few days. I am non-resident. Do I have the option?
Yes.
Yes. Third year also, I am non-resident. Do I have the option? In the third year, I fell in love with someone in India. That baby boy, Nick. And he decides to permanently settle down in India. In the fourth year, full year, he was in India. What is the residential status of the fourth year? Full year, he was here.
Resident.
And the moment you touch 182, your nationality, citizenship, all that is irrelevant. You are a resident now. Now that you have become a resident, then answer this. Obviously, now you will not get the incomes you were getting, no? Now the incomes will stop, no?
Income.
Rubbish. Income. See, I am a shareholder, irrespective of my residential status. If I am a shareholder or a debenture holder, company has to give me dividend or interest now. So will the income stop?
No.
No. But now that I have become a resident, then tax
And now you won't be.
tax will come or won't come. I want to know that first. Will there be tax?
Yes.
That means my residential status will change based on my number of days. But that will not stop from income to arise. That will not stop from tax to come. But the question is, now the tax will come at what rate? That is the question. Now my residential status has changed. Now I have become a resident.
Normal rate.
Ideally, the brain says that, sir, since you started, you have been bothering us by saying combo, 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 combo. If the combo does not take place, normal rates, again and again, I did that with you. And the moment I become a resident,
Normal rate.
normal rate is the correct answer that we should immediately give. Correct or no? But your world is going to turn upside down. You are going to be very, very angry with what I am saying now. You may want to throw eggs and tomatoes because you are not liking the performance of the performer. You may want to, you do one thing, today anyways, we are taking a break. So you break your screen on. Throw your phone, laptop, whatever you are watching. And then when your anger reduces, you can get it repaired in the next few days before we resume. And get a new phone. Because the truth is, some are like, sir, if we break now, we still have question answer to do. We'll break after this. The truth is that the option is still going to be available till the time you sell the asset. If, please pay attention, now you may be wondering, sir, you are contradicting yourself, you are proving yourself to be wrong, you are proving that you taught us something wrong. Absolutely not. Let me complete. Hindustani Bhav. What does he say always? You don't know Hindustani Bhav. What does he say? Sabar. Correct? For more details, you can Google his videos. You can watch him. Very talented man and huge command on vocabulary. Hindustani Bhav. If you were non-resident at the time of acquisition, see, being non-resident is the essence of this chapter. Without being non-resident, chapter cannot apply, cannot apply, cannot apply. But the question is, you have to be non-resident at what point of time? When you came to India at the time of acquisition of asset, you were non-resident. That means you have fulfilled the required eligibility of this chapter. And now, till the time you hold the asset, whether you are resident or non-resident, every year you will have the option, normal or special, option. One day you will transfer the asset. There will be capital gains. Again, you have the option on the capital gains. Because you were non-resident at the time of acquisition, you will still be given the option. And of course, after transferring the asset, the income will stop arising. The question of option does not arise only, obviously. So listen to the sentence that I am saying. First answer this. Is being non-resident mandatory for the chapter to apply? Yes, of course. But being non-resident need not necessarily be in the year of income. It can also be in the year of purchase of the asset, acquisition of the asset, forex asset. Once you are non-resident in the year of acquisition, till the time you sell your asset, option will be available for all the years, even if in the intervening period, in the in-between period, you have become resident in some of the years. Those years also, you will be getting the option, provided you are non-resident. At what point of time? At the time of acquisition. Are you understood? Now listen, I'll do one thing. I'll make this problem even, further solve this problem. When I gave CA final, no? I did not give CA final for passing the exam. I gave CA final to get a rank. A small advice which you all are not going to listen to because you all have the habit of not listening to anyone and not taking anyone seriously. Don't keep your aims or objectives in life too small. Okay? Objective in life has to be to achieve something good. And if I start, how can I become the finance minister? Poor, garib. No. Then I will never become. If you don't tell yourself, and I am very serious about it, if you don't tell yourself that I will do it, then you will never be able to do it. To be able to do it, you will have to tell yourself. In the first level of chartered accountancy, I was all India 19. I didn't even know what is a thing called rank in CA. When I got the results, result day we all go to the temple. I was coming back on the temple, I was on my bike, one of my friends called me. Kya kha ke gaya tha be? What happened? This is your result. From that day, first of all, I stopped giving roll numbers to my friends. Nobody gives, no, your generation. Who told you to do panchayat? And that day I came to know that in CA there is this ranking system also. I didn't even know what is a rank system. Then I gave the second level. In our days, it used to be PCC. Before IPCC, that course, I was in PCC. 3 papers in both groups. Group 1, 3 papers. 6 papers total, 600 marks. I got 44 marks in ITSM. 44. And that also only because there was flowchart and strategic management. So 10 marks of flowchart and the remaining 34 in SM. Otherwise, I was never going to clear that paper. Computers has been my weak point always. The second lowest was a 64. So marks were 79, 75, 64, 64. These were my range of marks. I missed a rank by 3 marks. At 395 was my total, 66%. And at 398 the rank closed. Last ranker 50th rank was 398. So of course both groups cleared, but idiots like me applied for re-verification of papers only to get the, I was, if I wonder if somebody sitting in the institute would have checked my verification request, would have given me bad words by looking at the request only. What a fool. Cleared both groups and still is applying. For what purposes? For rank. Final CA was only with one objective in life, to get a rank in CA final. Because what I could not achieve, I want to do that. My total was more than 400 in the first attempt. My total was more than some of my friends who cleared both groups. So there was a friend of mine whom I only taught. I started teaching when I was studying for CA final. He learnt everything from me only. And my total was more than him. He cleared both groups. I did not clear both groups. I failed in CA final. My group 1 total was more than 200. Aggregate also done. Individual subject also done. People are paying a lot of attention right now. When I am teaching any section, nobody is interested. But right now, full focus you all are listening with. Group 1 was clear. Group 2 also I had one exemption, 60 plus. But I got 29 marks in the subject called Information System Control and Audit. That same paper which took away my rank in PCC. First time the F word in my mark sheet. And you always used to be amongst the toppers of my class in school, college, everywhere. Except 11th standard where I was in science. I did not want to study that. I was forced into that. And I purposely failed. I told my parents that if you don't allow me to shift to commerce, I will fail in all the papers. I will not write only anything. That was done on purpose. But this was the first time it happened. And I hated myself for 6 months. I used to, not like at looking at the mirror also. That you idiot, how can you fail? How can you tell the world that you... At that time I did not know it is CA. It is so normal. So normal. And I thank God today that I failed in CA final, because if I would have got a rank, and in fact what was upsetting more was the people whom I taught, their total was less than mine. Aggregate total, mine was more than them. But because of, I hope you know that one paper not cleared full group except the exemption. So group 1 done, one exemption in group 2, 3 papers I had to give again. It was not a big task that way. 5 papers were anyways down in the first attempt itself. But the phone calls were, how can he pass? He learnt from you. How can he pass? And my friends used to call me not to ask me whether I have passed or failed. The first question was, "Kaun sa rank aaya be?" That was the first question. How to answer? The only thing that is possible on the result day is switch off your fan. Phone is switched off. That means they have understood what is the result. And of course, those days you could enter any roll number and check whose result is what. There was no OTP kind of system. And the website used to crash unnecessarily. So now they have changed all this system wise. Okay. And I thank God, I thank my stars, because if I had not failed at that point of time, I would have never realized that failure is a very, very small and easy part of life. You are going to face failures, and the best thing that CA will prepare you for is a failure, especially if you are a good category student, because after clearing CA, my parents were not comfortable with me teaching. That day, yaar koi ladki wala aayega to what we will say, hamara bachcha padhata hai. But today they understand what I have done in my life. Okay. So that day they wanted me to do a job. I did a job. I got rejected in almost all the interviews. I am not employee material. I am not employee material. So I got rejected, but I never got upset, because if not now, after 6 months, all problems of life get solved. It's a matter of time. Then there were marriage proposals. In our arranged marriage Marwadi system, you have to meet and decide. Out of the 17 meetings, in 15, I only clearly said a no. Only in 2, I had interest. She said no. But I did not get bothered, because no problem. Every problem in life gets solved within a period of 6 months. I was working in a class, that class shut down. Someone like, kaisa professor gaya, class only shut down. Class shut down. And when I worked for that class, I had developed a very, very good name for myself in my area. And I thought that once I announce my own batch, the class will be full. I took my own premises. I started my own class. I announced my batch, 1 student. Of course, I made the mistake of my timetable was clashing with their other subjects where they had already paid the fees. I was too immature at that time. I only knew my subject. I did not know other things are also important here. Timetables were clashing. Those stupidities I made. 1 student, but I taught him with full passion. He got an exemption. Next batch, my batch was full, because I did the planning properly. Did not clash it with any of the other subjects. Of course, teaching, nobody had the guts to challenge or do anything, even when I was a newcomer. Everything gets solved in a span of 6 months. That is one thing that CA taught. Every time you are upset about something in life, just ask yourself one thing, that what will be the condition after 6 months? Will after 6 months this become a very, very easy? Today I laugh about the fact that I failed in CA. Okay, so one failure, and especially in an exam like chartered accountancy, should not make you a person who starts hating this course. The more hatred you give, the more hatred you get. The more you love, the more love you get. As simple as that. Remember this, that CA is such a course, one of the toughest exams of the country, of the world. Only 10 out of 100 pass, and thus even if it is the second attempt or anything, it is okay, because every problem in life gets solved in a span of 6 months. I was very weak in computers. While theoretically, if I am asked, right, define what is a dot matrix printer, define what is a laser printer, I cannot write, I can work with the printer. I can open the full computer and install it again. But if you ask me to explain, I cannot do it. Which is why I failed in those subjects. But when it comes to adoption of technology, I have adopted the best technology in my profession. I have been the first people. So today when people are doing online lectures, they have this system of having a software, having a tab where they are writing. People have got accustomed to do these things today. I am using this technology that I am doing with you currently. No, it's a technology. This blue color is not my house ka background. Obviously, there's a green color curtain behind me. This is not my background. There is no actual table over here. This is a technology that I am using. And this tab I have been using since 2018. Even before people knew what things are. I have always taken the initiative of using the best technology, and today I will show you how technology is advantageous for you. Now come out of the emotions, because we are doing a chapter called NRI taxation. I have become a resident and I am still saying that the option is available. But sir, you taught us that you have to be non-resident, non-resident, non-resident. Let's see how technology can be used to our advantage. We can fail in theory of computers, but practically we will use computers better than anybody else. Let me show you. Sir, by the way, if it was a class and I was writing on the board with a marker, then today this table I could have never got in front of you. I would have maximum told you, open this table in your notebook. But technology is what helps me from 2018 till date. Any batch that I have taken and anything I have written in class, I have everything. If you see which batch I took in 2000, 2021, 20, 18, 19, all the batches, everything that I have written, all the data. Every time I start a new batch, I make a new section in my tab and all the data is stored, all the data is saved within the book itself. That is the benefit of technology. And today I have opened that frame where I think we did this yesterday only. 3 things for becoming specific assessee: individual, any one of them, and non-resident during the previous year. You have this in your notebook also. This was an essential condition. In fact, we realized that most of us, all of us in this class are fulfilling 2 out of 3 conditions. The main condition was this. See what I am telling you. You have to be non-resident, non-resident, non-resident. Without being non-resident, this chapter can never apply to you. You have to be non-resident. It is an essential condition. But this will include the previous year of acquisition. It need not be the previous year of generating the income. It can be the previous year of acquisition once you are non-resident in the year of acquisition. Ladies and gentlemen, once you are non-resident in the year of acquisition, your subsequent becoming resident is not going to affect availability of this chapter. Chapter will continue to apply till the time you are holding the forex asset. And of course, after transfer of asset, question only does not arise, because the income will stop coming. Hello. So once you are non-resident at the time of acquisition, till the time you hold the asset, you get this option. This will include the previous year of acquisition. Understood how we use the best technology despite failing in ISCA. That ISCA would be ashamed of itself, that because of me, one of the brightest talent of this country lost his 6 months. And you know what? ISCA did this to me. See what God did to ISCA. What? Removed from the syllabus only. Understood? And God has his own way of answering and catering to anything and everything. And I do believe in God. Okay, you can be an atheist, that is your choice. Again, even if you are believing in God, you have multiple religions and we are in a democracy, you have the right to follow whatever you want to, but God has his own way of dealing with everything. So shall I now scroll back to the section that I was doing? I just wanted to make you write this additional thing, one thing over here, that non-resident will include the year of acquisition. Shall we go to our original section that we were writing? Even after becoming resident, the option will be available till the sale of asset. Understood? So then, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, Deviyo, Sajjano and Mitro, we hereby declare our chapter NRI taxation as over. Thank you very, very much.